Evan Balgord, Executive Director of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
Bernie Farber, Chair of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
He's a nonpartisan nonprofit.
We wear our biases on our sleeves. We are very proudly anti-fascist, and we focus on the far right.
Last summer, we had a 100-year-old church burned to the ground.
Canada's leaders aren't condemning the burning of churches. No, they're endorsing the burning of churches.
I understand that it's not your organization's mandate to talk about these things. As you've said, you're clearly focused on the far right.
COVID conspiracy theories.
Safe and effective.
They kill. They kill.
This so-called convoy actually seeded the ground for the worst display of Nazi and racist propaganda that I have ever seen in this country. Bullies, racists, bigots, and Nazis.
We now have over 300 active hate groups in Canada.
There's other groups that we're very concerned about.
Jeremy Mackenzie, the de facto leader of the EdgeWaVe movement, a neo-Nazi organization.
Accelerationists who want to violently overthrow the system.
No fighting, no spitting, no throwing anything, don't even litter.
Who are now also encouraging their members to join.
If there's a speed limit on walking, walk slower than that.
One of the key figures of that, Jeremy Mackenzie, his slogan is gun or rope.
If they say it's now illegal to look at the sky, then look at the ground. Be good, for the love of God.
Do you know if the Canada Anti-Hate Network's views about you have been relied upon by law enforcement or other senior officials in the federal government?
Yes, I have.
Diagolon.
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 Diagolon. Diagolon.
Diagolon. A far-right extremist group.
We're talking about a group that is organized, driven by an extreme ideology.
A so-called accelerationist group.
Formed by a former member of the Canadian Armed Forces.
Which aims to accelerate racial conflict to lead to the eventual creation of a white ethno-state.
Its stated purpose is, quote, to incite a race war.
The need to justify a state of emergency.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act.
There's some people that just want their lives back. And they enact the War Measures Act, the Emergency Measures Act, to justify a violent and brutal crackdown on old people and women and wounded veterans. You beat wounded veterans in the street, you scum!
What if I told you the organization and the individuals responsible for pushing this are being exposed right now in Canada?
It all circles back to one group, and that's the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
That is pretty fair to say.
Liberal-funded Antifa propaganda. That's what the government of Canada was making their decisions on.
You were supposed to be grown-ups, confirm things and look into things.
The RCMP recognized that Diagolon was not a criminal group, it was not a terrorist entity, and they had trouble even defining it as a group at all. This whole narrative, they knew it was bunk.
The justification of the Emergencies Act during the Trucker Convoy came from lies from anonymous Twitter trolls from Anti-Hate.
Uncovered in HateGate is a string of emails from government officials.
Politician goes on TV and says that, oh, there's this terrorist group involved in the convoy. Then people say, can you back up your statement? And he says, talk to law enforcement. And then law enforcement is like, oh crap, we gotta find something. So they just spend 15 minutes, Google Diagolon, and come up with this hit piece.
That Global News article conveniently sources one expert. That expert is from the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
But it's the circle jerk, this vicious circle of one person feeding fake information to another who then finances those people to provide the fake information so they can then launder it off to whomever they need to in order to justify whatever fabricated crisis they financed that never existed in the first place.
I consider it the single most embarrassing and grotesque intelligence failure in national history.